I'd like to call the meeting of the Development Review Board to order, June 2nd, 2015. What do you got first, Jimmy?
Okay, first item on our agenda is the minutes from our last meeting.
Yes, Milt?
I make a motion to approve.
Okay, Milt approves.
I'll
Barry
second.
seconds. All in favor? Okay.
Okay. Second on our agenda is the witness sign-up sheet. It's right on the by the microphone over there. We ask anybody that speaks this evening to sign in, and it does include the following oath statement. I solemnly swear or affirm under the pains and penalty of perjury that the statements I make, testimony I give, and other evidence I submit to the board at the board's public hearing held on this date shall be true and correct to the best of my knowledge and belief. And again, we ask that you sign in before you speak to the board this evening. Next item on our agenda is disclosure of any ex parte communications or conflicts of interest regarding the matters before the board this evening.
Have any?
Seeing none?
Don't see any.
Okay. All right, our first hearing this evening is ALDI, Inc., 10 Kocher Drive. These folks are seeking development plan and design plan approval for an addition to that existing store. If you recall, at the last meeting, this application was granted preliminary approval. If the board is satisfied with the information they've been submitted thus far, the appropriate action would be to close the hearing and go into deliberative session at the end of this meeting.
Do you have anything new?
Nothing new.
Nothing new?
Everything looks the same. And
Any questions from the board?
Move to close the meeting?
No.
No?
I want to see if anybody from the audience want to speak on this? Okay. Now you can go.
Move to deliberative session this meeting.
I'll second it.
Dan moves, Barry seconds. All in favor? All done.
Give me a shout tomorrow. I'll let you know what the board's decision is. Thank you very much. Okay, our next agenda item is Stewart Shops Corporation at 636 Main Street. These folks are seeking development plan, design plan, and expansion of non-conforming use approval for a new gas station and convenience store at that location on Main Street. This is the first of two required hearings. Unless there is a motion to close deliberations, the board will deliberate in open session. That's it.
Good evening, Chris Potter from Stewart's. I'm here tonight to do.
Could we have your name, please?
Chris Potter.
Chris Potter.
Okay, Chris.
I'm here tonight to discuss our project. We're currently under contract to purchase property at 636 Main Street. We're proposing to demo the existing building, gas islands, and existing underground fuel storage tanks. That will allow us to construct a 3,975 square foot Stewart shop with a 20 by 79 gas canopy, which will have 3 fueling dispensers underneath it. The building is proposed to have 2 entrances, one that would face Main Street, the other one that would face the gas canopy itself. The entrance on Main Street will have a porch over it, as well as the other one facing the gas canopy, but the one on Main Street will also have a patio that will have picnic tables for some outside dining. As far as building finishes, we're proposing a cement board siding, architectural asphalt shingles. All the millwork on the building is proposed to be either PVC or a polyurethane foam molding. As far as access into the site, we're proposing 2 curb cuts on the Main Street, one on either side of the canopy to circulate around for deliveries both for product for our store as well as fuel deliveries. We're proposing to replace all the concrete curbing, sidewalks through the entire frontage of the site with the project. And in doing so, the addition of some street trees along the frontage there too. I know there's currently 2. One would have to be removed, the other one could be saved, and then we would add some additional ones. All the landscaping on the site will be all new. We're proposing to have an irrigation system to keep everything looking nice. As far as lighting, all our lighting is proposed to be LED fixtures. Our soffit and canopy lights will be fully recessed. Our proposed utilities, we're going to utilize an existing utility pole on the northwest corner of the property, which from there will provide an underground power to the building. And then we will utilize the existing water and sewer taps that are currently to the site. As far as our proposed signage, we're looking to have 2 building signs, both 17 square feet, and 1 21 square foot monument sign, which will have our gas pricing on it. Both sides are proposed to be simulated wood carved, and both will be externally illuminated with LED gooseneck lights. It's pretty much a little gist of the overview of the project. Anybody has any questions at this time?
Anybody have questions? Yes, Dan?
Are both curb cuts two-way, or is one entrance and one exit?
They would both be full access two-way, yes.
And where on the site plan is the monument sign?
It's
Southwest,
right in
southeast corner, okay.
almost exactly where the current sign is for the site now.
I have a question on the,
Milt,
oh, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
Yeah, your main entrance, is that going to be facing east or south? The main entrance to the building? Which one do you call the main entrance? The reason I ask is the HPC had comments about it, that's all.
Right. I would say that, yeah, this would be the main entrance just because this
In front of the gas
the
pumps.
majority of the parking and our gas pumps.
Yeah, right, okay.
You know, and then I think this will be used for, any foot traffic. We would have a sidewalk that would tie into the sidewalk of the street, so.
And you're replacing the gas tanks too?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
On the floor plan.
Yes.
And on the elevation plan, on the west elevation, I don't see a door there on the floor plan. Am I looking at this in the right direction?
Yeah, what you're seeing on the west elevation, the 2 doors that would be on that.
Yes.
Are an outside electrical cabinet, so that's where all our panels for the
Yeah.
electric will
Will
be.
be. Okay, I didn't see it on
Yeah,
there.
on the floor, I think the floor plan isn't totally up to
Totally,
date.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Yeah, I have one. You just talked about the electrical panels.
Yes.
On the west side. When you're drawing S2, it shows the electrical panels on the north side.
Yeah, they would be on the north side, the elevation. They're showing incorrectly on the elevation.
So it's not on the west side?
No, it's on the
Okay.
north side, they're actually right here.
Okay. It's actually better.
Yeah, because that would be, there's an existing pole over here that we're going to come from. We would go underground to that, and then that would be.
Okay. Yes, Bill?
What do you actually have on the west side of the building, outside of the building?
There's compressors for freezer and cooler here, and then our 2 wall-mounted HVAC units would also be on that side of the building.
Are they going to be screened?
Excuse me?
Are they going to be screened?
Oh, yeah, we're proposing a row of trees that would replace the hedge that's currently there.
Okay, how about noise from those?
I guess it's a commercial condenser for the cooler and freezer, so there is some noise with it. As far as the HVAC units, I guess it's really no more than any other HVAC unit.
Is it possible to get us what decibels would
Decibels
be
for
from the
the mixture?
manufacturer?
Yep.
Any other questions?
Maybe this is to the board. On the west side, is that the proper setback on that? Okay.
There's no setback in the district.
Okay, that's what my concern was on that, if there's any setback at all there. Okay.
Chris, I have one thing. On all of your drawings except S7 and S8, you need a graphic scale,
Okay.
okay? In case they get reduced, we can... Anything else from the board? Yes, Will?
On the stone they're going to be doing on the columns,
Yes.
is that going to be a natural stone or that pressed stone?
Be a stone veneer, yeah.
It'd be a regular stone,
It's a cultured stone.
cultured, that's the word I was looking for, so it will be a cultured stone?
Yes.
Okay, just a question.
Yes, Barry?
Do you currently have a artist's conception of what this would look like, standing on Main Street looking at it? Color?
The elevations that we provided are close in color. It's
Yeah, but
proposed to be...
that's not what I'm asking about. I'm asking about an architectural conceptual drawing. Usually, the project this size, you'll have a conceptual drawing showing what it would look like.
Like a 3D rendering?
Yeah.
Yeah, with colors.
do not
Have anything like that?
That's the one, just to interject, I did think originally that those weren't color, but that's actually the color.
Yeah, it's a light gray
siding.
siding and a white trim.
What color?
It's easier to see if you had a conceptual drawing of the whole thing with the gas pumps and everything, overhead. Yeah.
Bill?
Roof color.
It's called state gray.
Just
It's
a gray?
almost
Gray
like charcoal color.
Shingles.
Yes.
The Historic Association, was talking about windows.
Correct.
What are you proposing, what style of a window are you proposing for the building? Is it anything, like they're talking about colonial patterns, like, were they 6 light or 8 light or something like that?
Yeah, I think there are a pattern to it. It's 9 lights, I don't know if...
It'd be more, it's not just one solid pane of glass, in other words.
Well, it would be a solid pane in the...
Yeah, but you got
it'd be in
the-
between, there'd be a simulated...
Right,
Yes.
right. And what'd you say the siding was going to be?
It's a cement board siding.
Okay, I think that's all I got.
Is that it? Anyone from the audience like to speak on this? John?
My name is John Mahar, and my family and I are the property owners to the west of proposed Stewart's. And I just have a couple questions. One is that the hedgerow that separates the two properties has been there for as long as I can remember, 60 years. Last year, we just put in a brand-new driveway. I'm concerned with the roots that are underneath this hedge and being ripped out is going to tear up our driveway. That's one of my issues. I'm a little bit concerned about noise. I'm concerned about light pollution. I'm also have a question about the canopies that are proposed. Are those allowed in that district?
They wouldn't be allowed if there wasn't already a gas station there. That's why it's an expansion of a non-conforming use. So, yeah, it's a good point. But because there's already a gas station there, they do have the the right to ask for that expansion.
Okay.
I did want to answer your lighting question, certainly the Stewart's folks can answer too, but we did review them carefully for compliance with our lighting requirements, and they are pretty good. They're pretty low levels, relatively speaking. You're not going to see like some of those big gas stations in the city where everything's lit up like the sun. The noise issue, I think, already did come up, and we have requested that they get us the decibel information, so that's a good question, and we don't have enough information to really answer that one.
John, most of the lighting is on the east side, so the building is really going to block it from you.
Okay, okay. Is there any consideration to traffic coming in and out of there? Is there any issue with the amount of traffic that's going to be coming in and out, the hours of operation? I think, you know, currently the Stewart's that's up the street from us is open from 4:30 a.m. until, I don't know, maybe 10 or 11.
I'll have to find out.
So I just, you know, I want to sort of protect our property, and really, I have no problem with Stewart's coming in here. The buildings look very nice, but I just those are my concerns. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
I got a question for John.
John?
John, how far is your newly refinished drive from the hedge that's in there?
I'll tell you that the hedges, they touched, the property's touched, so the hedge is really on Stewart's property, I believe, but our driveway is right up tight to it. And those,
Looking
I'm
at
sure
the
all
site-
those roots are.
Looking at the site plan, the driveway's right
Yeah.
on the property.
Yeah, I wanted to get it on the record.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
thank you. Anyone else? What's his name?
Come on, watch out. We should get Stewart to address these issues that he was just brought up. Stewart to address John's issues.
I guess I have to sign on the back. Or is there another page? Oh, there's another page. Good evening. My name is Sam Rustino from Bennington, Vermont, and I do frequent Stewart's quite a bit. I'm all for the project as well. My question is parking in front of Stewart's. As you know, you've got First Baptist Church, you've got Benner's, you've got Marhar's. It creates a lot of traffic. What's this board's feeling about parking? I'm just fearful that there's a lot of pedestrian traffic where your crosswalks that or any additional crosswalks are going to be added or marked, because Stewart's does create pedestrian traffic. I'm just concerned. Down by Valentine Street, we had almost a fatality at that intersection of Valentine and East Main quite a few years back. So obviously this is going to lighten up the eastern part of Main Street. I'm all for it. What are your thoughts on parking?
Actually, Sam, the board isn't going to respond with thoughts. They deliberate and make a written decision, but we certainly will take your comment to heart. And I will respond that the parking requirements are met by this site plan, so there's no issue.
Will there be parking across the street when church takes
No
place?
issue with regard to adequate parking on site, which is all they have to address.
What about East Main Street parking? You know how tight it is and how narrow?
Sam, all they have to do is address their site, which they've addressed.
Okay, but I'm fearful of traffic. Thank you.
You want to go with them? You want to have them respond to those?
Does Stewart's have any, does the representative from Stewart's, would they like to respond to John Mahar's concerns about hours of operation and any traffic issues that may be?
Certainly, yeah. We don't have any plans to expand hours from what we currently are, which I believe 4:30 to 11.
Just for the record, what are they for?
I believe it's 4:30 to 11, but we can double check on that. But yeah, I think whatever we are currently is what we're planning on doing. As far as the hedge, we looked at it two different ways. There's a possibility we could keep it. I don't know if that would be something that would be, you know, obviously if there's an existing mature hedge there and we can keep it and get the building in without getting into the existing root system when we construct a new building, then I would rather leave the mature hedge there, and then this way, we don't have to worry about damaging a driveway or any of that kind of stuff. But if we did get into the root system and we did have to take them down, obviously if we were to damage a driveway doing it, we would repair it without a problem.
So you don't have a problem with the condition that would require you to repair any damage?
Absolutely not.
One thing that might be helpful for the next time is just to, I don't recall, perhaps it was in the information, but I don't recall the information regarding any traffic impact.
Okay.
I've given the level of vehicle traffic that goes on Main Street now, I doubt it's even a blip, but it's just, for the record, we'll need it to help us make our final decision.
Yes, Barry?
I got a couple of questions for you. Is this site copied or close to another site that currently exists?
You know, there's the layout of this one. Is it compatible with all of the other ones that you have, that you're following, so that they all look
What
the
I'm
same?
wondering is if you have or could come up with a photo of what it looks like at another place.
Yeah, we've added some additional details. We've changed the pitch of the roof. We've increased the overall height of the building to comply with some design standards, but
Those would be small changes.
we do have some similar buildings that were recently constructed. They have some stone veneer at the bottom.
Could you
portion of it,
provide a
but
picture of those?
we can certainly provide pictures.
At the next meeting, for the
sure.
next meeting?
Yep.
In particular, I'd like to see the canopy on over the gas pumps.
Oh, a picture of the canopy itself, you mean?
Yes,
Sure.
and how it looks in proportion with the main building.
Charlie? Just
Dan?
on Bill's thoughts, is this one similar to the one that's on Route 2 in New York? Plums Corners, New York? It's brand new, at the end of Tamarack Road and Route 2.
Oh, the one in Cropseyville?
Yes.
That we just built last year? Yes, the building itself is similar,
So,
yes.
at Cropseyville.
Yeah, that's Tamarack Road, Route
Yes.
2, yeah.
Okay,
It's
that's Cropseyville.
Yeah, they call it Cropseyville, it's in town of Brunswick, I think,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah, I don't believe that building has the clapboard siding, if I recall right, but
Similar size.
Yeah, similar size. It's
The gas,
the gas canopy is different. It does not have the peaked roof on it with the shingles. It's just a straight fascia.
okay.
But we have constructed, it's not 3 in a line like that. It's 4 in a cube that we just built in Northville. So I can get pictures of that with also the newer style building that's similar to this. So I think, with those, I think it'll probably help out a lot.
Very, I meant to say, very up
Other
And-
questions?
Have you received the historical,
We did receive them
Revisions?
yesterday,
Okay.
yes.
And my understanding is that from Jennifer Howard, one of your representatives, that you folks will be reaching out to them to see if there's any way that you can address some of their concerns. Is that accurate?
Correct. Yep.
Would you be happy if they left the hedge that's there, or would you like the new hedge?
I like the hedge that's there.
Okay.
I mean, if they're gonna put up a new hedge and it's tight together, I have no problem with that.
Okay.
My concern is the driveway. And my only other concern is the closeness of the back of the building, which probably we don't have any control over either, to our property. Is there a certain setback, 15 feet, or?
Not in that zone. Zero setback.
Zero setback in that zone,
I believe it's 10 feet.
10 feet?
So how close to our property is the second?
It's 10 feet, I thought that was.
I think this is an hallway. It's an hallway.
minimum is 7.
Side. West.
says 10 feet.
7 feet. Yep, 7 feet.
10.
That's 2 feet too close.
What's setback now? What is the setback supposed to be?
10.
10?
Any other questions?
Well, I guess, so we're talking 7 feet from the property line?
Well, they're likely going to have to move it to meet the 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll list it as a concern, and they're going to have to address it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so we're talking about an historic district, is that right, where the funeral home is? And having a building, 7 feet from that property, to me is a concern.
Okay.
They'll have to meet the setback.
We'll
Well,
talk
Dan,
about that.
there's not a
in our deliberative
10-foot
session.
setback required there, then, is there?
The required setback is 10.
It's 10,
Yeah.
and they're going to be 7.
Yeah.
Need a variance in that case.
Site plan says it's at 7 right now.
So it needs a variance.
They either need a variance or they need to change it to
Right,
10.
okay.
But then we're also talking about these compressors being on the back of that building.
The compressors don't have to meet the setback, not that it's not an issue. We could certainly address it, but it's not strictly
Noise
required.
issue,
Yeah.
My concern, where it is.
Yeah.
There is a noise ordinance at the,
Yep, at the property line. So because they're very close to the property line, it would be in, they'll have to really look closely at that noise issue.
Any other questions? Any other questions from the board?
Perhaps it would be appropriate for me to read down the issues that we'd like to see
Yeah.
them address at the next meeting, and if you folks have any additional ones, certainly feel free to let them know. So I think, and these are in no particular order, just you'll have them. And I'm happy to put together an email to Jennifer too as well.
Okay.
But just so you know. And you guys jump in when I'm done if there's additional things. Certainly would want to understand the noise issue, so we could get perhaps some the decibels for the condenser. Just so you do know, we do have a noise ordinance, and I believe it's 55 decibels at the property line for commercial districts. So if you're going to exceed that at the property line, that would be an issue. We'd have to deal with that. Minor technical issue, graphic scales for all the drawings. Obviously, the protection of the driveway issue, you've already said that's not an issue. You're gonna protect that driveway, and if it does get damaged, you'll repair it. Just a indication of the traffic count, the impact that it'll be. I think it would be a pretty easy thing for you to say that it's not going to be a significant impact, but we would want the numbers just to make sure we understand that. Confirmation of hours of operation. Photo of similar buildings, including the canopy. The gas canopy. You're going to work with the HPC to see if you can get some common ground on some of the issues they have. And then that 10-foot setback is an issue. If you're not going to be able to meet that 10-foot setback, you would have to request a variance, which is a significantly high bar, I guess I would say, without too much, with pretty much confidence that you'll have to deal with it, that variance probably wouldn't be issued given this, so you probably want to just redesign to see if you can meet that setback. Is there any other issues that we want?
Any others?
The other thing, perhaps just a clarification, is with regard to the hedge, you might want to note on the drawing that you will attempt to save it, if that's your intention, but if you can't, then you'll replant it. I'm not sure, based on what I've looked at, that it'll actually be a solid hedge if you replant it as shown. So you might want to stagger those hedges, one here, one behind it, and then so it starts out as a solid hedge from the day you plant it.
Yeah, I think what we'll do, we'll probably add some additional plantings back there.
Sure.
And then also add the note to keep the existing hedge, and if we can't,
If
then this
possible.
is what would
That'd be
be in its
great.
place.
You may also look into ways to, if the condensers are somewhat noisy, there are maybe ways to muffle those so that the Mahars can not.
Yeah, I
have
know
some
there's
peace.
components that you can get in place that will quiet them down from the standard. We've, obviously, with the number of stores we've run into.
I'm sure you run into it before, yeah. But just so, for your edification, it is 55 decibels at that property line. So that's what we'd be looking to try to meet.
So Chris, if you move the building over to the 10 feet, you may not, the hedge may not be a problem,
Correct.
so you may
Yeah.
be able to leave it.
And is the sound ordinance change in the evenings?
Yes, the 55 is the lowest
Okay.
at night. I believe it's 70 during the day, but
But, yeah,
they're going to have to
it'll
design
run
the
all-
lowest
yeah.
one, yeah, so. Anything else?
Anything else? Get a motion to close and go to deliberative
Well,
session?
motion to continue, yeah.
To continue, go to,
Unless
go
you,
to deliberative session, go over those, or if you give them
I think, unless you guys are uncomfortable with those, I think we can just continue to the next meeting.
Okay,
I'd move to continue to the next meeting.
okay.
I'll second.
John seconds, all in favor? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Is there a date on when you need this prior to,
We would need it by, the latest would be early Monday morning, but preferably Friday, this Friday.
If that becomes a problem, he can ask for a
Yeah, you
continuance.
can ask for a continuance, but I know you probably want to keep things moving along, so.
yeah. Yeah, if we weren't able to make that, we'd be on.
Great, thank you. Okay, our next final hearing this evening is Robert Kobelia at 3015 West Road, seeking development plan approval for a sawmill and log yard on that property. This is the second hearing for this project. At the first hearing, there were some concerns conveyed to Mr. Kobelia, and this is the, if the board is satisfied with the information they have at this hearing, certainly move to close the hearing and go into deliberative session, but we'll wait and see the outcome. So.
Is there no possibility of getting this stuff in advance?
The extra one can get out of the way.
It would have been helpful if we had these ahead of time so we could study them a bit. So you want to go over what's on the drawing here?
Yes, I would. I'll explain what I just presented to you. You have the prior documentation, and I've had some correspondence with Dan since that meeting. Tried to get it prepared for you folks, and today was the first day we had an opportunity to chat. So I apologize for the handing it out here. I do and have tried to address your concerns from the last meeting. The first one deals with the VTran, and I reiterated a request to have them come to this meeting in the evening. And I do have a letter that I've included from Teresa Gilman, who happens to be the permitting service supervisor for the state of Vermont. She personally came down to this site and reviewed everything. Her letter and correspondence that I had with her today indicates that if you folks have not had your questions answered properly or concerns with the state, it's nothing I can control, but she's willing to have herself meet on site at a time that works during the day. As I had mentioned last time, the state is under a no overtime work criteria. They're happy to answer your questions during normal working hours. And if you had, so I have a question, since we met on the 19th, has anybody on the board had their questions answered of VTran?
Anyone have a question?
Not knowing that, that is an option. If you do get your answers tonight, they would be happy to coordinate that with your designee to do an on-site visit.
Can you, Dan, could you go over our questions, the concerns we had from the last meeting?
Sure. Let me see if I can. I know that we mentioned, first of all, I think there were 3 issues that I mentioned to Mr. Kobelia. One was whether or not the temporary sawmill met the definition for sawmill. The other one was lingering concerns about the safety of the access location. And the other one was that there was some concern that perhaps there was some detail lacking about exactly what was occurring on the site as far as storage and location of materials and that sort of thing.
This picture that you've included, what is that?
You asked for more detail, and on my application, I think you folks have 2 options here. One is the option of a temporary portable sawmill, which I have an arrangement set up with one of the best portable sawmill people around in South Deerfield. My proposal for the sawmill is to give you an idea on where I would actually build a permanent mill. The location on the map is to scale. The picture and color was the sawmill that I owned in Pownell up until 2010. The footprint of that building was 100 by 120. It could allow me to do everything I needed, but we felt a little constrained on size. So I'm trying to give you by a color photo what a mill building today looks like. It's totally enclosed, can be heated, helps with the hydraulics, and the footprint required, I made an expansion of that size to be 120 by 120 as an example. And inside it, I'd look to have a modern mill. My mill was older technology with a circle operation, and the modern mill would be a double cut band with a resaw, allowing you to process the lumber at much more per day, and that would of course get your per unit cost down where it has to be able to make a living today for efficiency. So the color photo, you'll see in the front of the mill log pile, and that log pile gives you an idea on how we just stack it up by species. And it doesn't really matter where we put these at the mill, except they need to be accessible and have air around it to get so they don't dry out and have stain issues. The site that I've got identified on my map for log storage is this map, because I'm dealing with 7 acres out of 65 that I own. The entryway is just like the other maps you've seen. The VTran map is the same, but the way to get to the mill, I'm not looking to have a mill close to Route 9. I'm looking to have it back by the barn The barn's been there for almost 200 years, and it would allow me to use the barn for lumber storage and equipment needs. And the barn would be used even with a portable mill. It makes a good place to store the lumber. But the footprint for the big mill, it's in an area that if you were on my property, I'm the closest one. My home site is very close to that. And my nearest neighbors, you can see the houses when there's no leaves on the trees, but it's in an ideal setting due to its elevation and lack of bothering anybody. It sits in an ideal location, and I would be happy to show the board with an on-site visit how nice this site is to do something. In the town of Bennington in the past, you've had a sawmill on Dewey Street. If it wasn't Dewey, what's the name? McKinley Street, where the rescue squad is. That's where Dewey's sawmill was, right downtown. Vermont Containers had mills. There's been one on North Branch Street. And there's probably been other mills all around the town. But this is a nice location where it's a very rural area on a state highway. So for the standpoint of log storage, I'm looking to have the area, the entryway that shows up on the, it's about 100 feet from my corner with Bill Wicks, and that's the entrance into a solid shale area. We're right on bedrock. The trucks would come in and unload any lumber, logs, or wood product materials would be loaded at the loading dock. So the trucks would always come in point first and not back out on the highway. They'd always come out nose first. I've improved the site distances at the request of V-Tran, and while it may not be all the work they requested to be completed, it's a good start. And on their color photo map that I gave you last time, that area, they've identified some of the work in their permit to access the highway. They wanted to improve the site. So I graded off a bunch of material that was on my side, and now it's a nice clear view looking down to the west. The sumac's been removed, and it's pretty easy to see. There's one obstacle that's on my neighbor's. It's been there forever. It's his sign that he puts on for sale for hay. And if I could work with him to relocate that, it would improve the distance, sight distance a little better, but it's his property. He can do what he wants with it. I can only control my side. As far as included in that pack, did I answer your question about the photos and what that represents?
Mm-hmm. Do you plan on making a building like that where you have it marked mill?
If I do build a mill, and I want to be straight with you fellas, I'm looking to get started with a portable operation to limit expenditures. If it looks like it's going to fly, I'd like to know if the board would allow me to build a real mill. I don't know if I will, but if the economy says I can make it work, I would look to do the proper setup and build a modern facility in this location. So the ideal building is just as I've represented. It served me well prior to this, and the wind is very strong out there on the west end. So the picture shows two overhead doors that are pretty big to allow you to get inside to put the logs in the mill and take the lumber out. And I would face those doors facing east. All the barns on my property, I've found over the years that it's way better to have the doors facing east, because most of the time you'll get a wicked wind and it blows the snow right into your building. So the back of the building, it would have most likely an aluminum siding that lasts. You've seen buildings built by Stu Hoskins, Hoscott Builders. They do a lot of farm buildings. And these are clear span structures, insulated, meet code. But that's roughly what we're looking at, is something that you'd expect to see on a barn, modern barn, or in this case, it would be an industrial building.
Do you have any idea how long it would be before you decide to make it permanent? How many, you know?
I'd have a good sense of the business within 2 years' time. During that 2 years, because it's a new venture, most people say new ventures don't even make a profit. Well, when I bought Northeast, I made a profit in the first 6 months. And I would look to do that again at this point. But if I went through 2 winters to be able to procure the wood that's there, under the business plan using a portable mill, I think by that point in time I would know if that's the best plan to stay with, or if it was time, if I'm losing market share and the economy was good, we could justify that. It probably took 100 years to get all of the modern sawmills in Vermont over the last 100 years, and it only took 10 years to wipe out 50% of them due to the economy. It's serious that you got to make money if you're going to have that kind of volume and do it right. So there is a place to always look at new technology and how you can make it work. But the business model that I'm initially starting with is pretty similar to when I started as a young forester for a company called Krudiak Wood Products back in 1977. He had a mill in Clarksburg, Mass, just over the border, and that's what brought me to Vermont. I lived here. His model was that everybody wants good logs. Nobody wants the poor quality logs, and he would saw the poor quality logs and sell the good ones to the markets that are out there. And that model probably is the best market for me to follow at this time. Yes, sir.
We've got another question. Ron?
Yeah, we may be putting the cart before the horse, but I think, Bob, you mentioned in the first part of your dissertation that the board has 2 options. Well, I don't think we do have 2 options. I think when you come with a plan, it's for one thing. I don't think we can be talking about what may be happening with a permanent mill. I think we should be discussing what's going to happen now. And if a permanent one comes to surface later, and it needs to come before the board, we discuss that then. So which one are we discussing? I have one more question after that.
My application included both, and perhaps I erred in that manner, because I see the business as a growth business, but starting initially with portable mill.
So we're discussing a portable mill now.
The portable mill
Yes or
takes
no?
up way less of a footprint.
Are we discussing a portable mill?
The portable mill is, if you said that's the one,
No,
it's
it's not for us to decide what you're going to do. You tell us you want to do, and we decide if it's appropriate or not.
if I was to ask you permission today to have a portable mill site on my property, that's what I'd ask for.
That's what we're asking for now.
Yeah.
And one more question, Bob. I got confused the last time around. Is there going to be a gate or is there not going to be a gate? I wasn't quite sure which way that was going. Is that a yes or no question?
It's a good question. The highway department identifies if a gate is put up, it has to pull inside if it's a gate to open. Mm-hmm. Initially, I'm not looking to install a gate. I've had no issues there with anybody.
Okay, so no gate then?
Initially, I would just have a rope put up to keep people out when the yard is closed.
Oh, I see.
All the wood coming in and out of there would be authorized, not allowed anybody to come in and out of there without my permission. So if there's no harm, I could charge people with trespassing if they go in there and they're not authorized. So I have no problem not even putting a gate initially.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Anyone from the audience like to speak? Yes.
Charlie, I have a
Just
question.
a minute, we've got somebody.
Oh, I'm sorry.
My name is Bill Wicks, and I'm Bob's neighbor. I'm west of him, and
So you have to sign in.
I'm about to. If this was approved, could there be a hedge put up like Gorelick did by Jerome, and that would just sort of obstruct the view of it? Because the board, or that zone, 2-acre zoning there, which is for pretty fancy houses. So I'd like to see a hedgerow put on the property line as far back as the sawmill operates.
So between the road and the sawmill?
Pardon?
Along your property line, basically, from the road to the sawmill site?
To where the sawmill stops. If it goes back 500 feet, 500 feet. It goes back 100, 100.
On the west side.
But that one that Gorelick put on Fairdale's there, that's grown into quite a hedge by Jerome's house on West Road, yeah. So, and in the beginning, was the sawmill mentioned? I thought in the beginning it was just going to be for sorting logs.
There was, I can answer that. There was initially an application simply for, as a log yard, sorting of logs, and that was not approved. So Mr. Kobelia did return with that application that included a sawmill. This is the second round of hearings.
All right, I'll just finish signing this in.
Thank you.
Barry? Bill?
No, first.
Go ahead, Bill.
He was before?
Well, I wanted to ask Bob another question. It seems to me this evening, I'm a little confused on the whole thing. Exactly what are you asking for here tonight?
I'm giving
Ron brought it up, but I was thinking about it before. I want to know, you got a lot of ifs, maybes, or I don't knows in this proposal. We've heard a lot about the lumber business.
Yes.
But we need to know about exactly what's going to happen on this property. And that's what I want to know, exactly what we're going to be voting on.
I've tried to give the board an overview of a master plan, but I was specifically asked what I want today. The master plan is the end game where I would look to have a nice mill, 10 million feet a year. That's not what I'm asking for today, but I gave the board the background information because I was asked about that. So I'm in full disclosure, I'm giving it the whole shot. With a sawmill that's a portable mill, the fellows that come in that I've contacted, and I've included a letter from them, they would be absolutely delighted to come in on an as-need basis if we have the orders, to come in and saw whatever I want, whenever they need. And their production capabilities are roughly a couple hundred feet per hour in boards.
Yeah.
So we're looking to manufacture lumber, custom sawing for folks like yourself, if you had barn work, post and beam work.
You're asking for a portable sawmill to be put in here. Then.
Yes, sir.
And that's it. And then site plan of where your logs are going to be stacked, how they're going to be stacked when it's cut up.
The big map clearly shows that the log storage is along that line. I just need to be able to put those piles along the hard ground, and that's, if you'd had a site visit, you'd see that there's all kinds of room that's nice to lay it out, and then take the wood to where the mill is as you're sawing pine or oak or maple or cherry. And then when you have loads to make, you go to the loading dock with that load, have it ready to go, and put it on a truck. So seeing it is very easy. It's like going to see a football game and you say, I want to see where every play is. Realistically, the land out there, the road frontage is where the trucks come in and make their logistical turns, and the manufacturing's up by the barn. So, it's a pretty simple process.
But I feel that we need to know exactly what's going to be set up. I was going to look aesthetically from the road, how the logs are going to be stacked, how everything's going to operate in here. Like now, just exactly we're going to put the portable sawmill. And so everything, the companies going by don't look like some of these places that you see.
If you went by the property as we speak, within 50 feet of my barn, there's a camping trailer that's about the same dimensions. And that's exactly where the portable mill will be, because we want to carry the lumber very short. We want to use the shed roof on the barn to be able to take the lumber you're making and put it under the shed. So the trucks come in, the entrance that's shown, the logs are sorted and stacked on the west side of the boundary, right on up to the sawmill setting. It's everything, where the real mill, the big mill is located is the exact same footprint, but a portable mill happens to come about 25 feet long. It's connected to a pickup truck. They drive it in, level it up, and they're ready to go. So it takes up a very small footprint. It's roughly 8 feet by then. Has its own debarker built in. So muddy logs, if they came in muddy, are not an issue. And the sawdust, the debris from that, there's such a ready supply of customers for the sawdust and the wood waste that it's not waste.
Well, I guess that's one of the questions I asked also is how this is going to be piled up so everything looks nice and neat.
Absolutely.
Doesn't look like
I have a vested interest in it, as I'm the closest one to it. That being said, since 1986, that front meadow of mine has been a field that I could not get farmers to mow. All it did was cost me time and money, and I kept it wide open. Most of the time, this field will be open, except for us. You might think, boy, there's somebody getting a load of firewood there, but they'd be saw logs.
Okay.
And that's but they're there, they're meant not to stay. I'm not looking to stockpile huge volumes.
That's the question. I'll go over it all again, just exactly what precisely is going to be done in here. At this point in time, without anything in the future, we just need to know what's going to be happening right now.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah, you did.
And can I give you a compliment? Because I had the other sawmill in Pownell, and I think of all the people on the board,
Bob?
you're the only one that gave me a business.
I'd like
So
to move on with this. Is there any other questions?
That's it.
Yes, Barry?
I've got a couple questions.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
How many acres does this site plan on using for the mill?
7 acres is on the map. That's approximately a 7-acre area.
7 acres is your answer? 7 acres is the answer?
Yes, sir. I own 65.
I don't care how many you own.
Of that 7,
Yeah.
I may well not
That's
use
got nothing to do with
much
it.
more than 3 or 4.
Yeah. Okay. Do you feel that you have adequately answered questions in this table 6, which you're required to do? It's from the land use regulations. Table 6 are the application requirements. Do you feel that you've adequately answered those?
To the
Looking for a yes or no?
best of my knowledge, yes.
That's it.
That's it?
Yep.
Anyone else from the audience?
I would like to respond to my neighbor's question about visible site with a border. And elevation-wise, that his field that borders my entryway, our mutual line, there's currently about average 5 to 6 foot bank. His field sits higher. than much of my field. So along that mutual boundary line, there's a hedgerow currently, albeit it's mostly sumac, some ash, and elm, but we have a power line right there running along that boundary. So there's a vegetative fence could be there, but you have to keep in mind tree height, because it would grow up into, if you use trees, it would grow up into that power line. So we all know that that's not a good thing, but for the most part, much of that field is sits higher than mine, so keep that in mind if you look to have some form of a vegetative fence.
Okay, I think we're going to close the hearing and go into deliberative session. Barry, you have a question?
Yeah, I got one more
Okay.
question. Is there any other point of access for this operation or this presented site plan other than this entrance off from the state highway that is indicated on this site plan right now? Is there any other way of getting there?
I can personally walk there from my house.
No, I'm talking about
There's
your-
old farm roads
I'm talking
that go
about-
around my buildings.
I'm not talking about pathways, I'm talking about trucks.
That's the only way in and out by commercial traffic, which is why I consulted the V-Tran to build a proper commercial entryway.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Barry.
I'll move to close the hearing.
Go to deliberative session.
Go to deliberative session.
Barry moves, Charles seconds. All in favor?
Thank you, Bob.
For your time.
Thank you. Okay, unless we have any other business,
Reorganize.
we can okay. Charlie would like to reorganize this evening since we have had our reappointments.
Barry and I have been reappointed.
They've been reappointed. Congratulations. We do have the position of chair and vice chair traditionally on this board, so if anyone would like to make a motion to
I
nominate.
move we keep the same chair and same vice chair
Do them both at the same time, or do we need to have?
Certainly can if,
at the same time.
so you want to keep the same, you propose to keep the same slate.
I
Right,
second.
same thing, yeah.
Barry, I'll vote for you, you vote for me.
All right, so we have a nomination from Ron and a second from Dan for the slate to stay the same with Charlie as chair and Barry as vice chair. Is all in favor?
Can I oppose?
All right, so that is a unanimous decision. Thanks, folks. Unless we have any other business, we can adjourn and go into deliberative session.
Any other business?
Move to
Motion to adjourn?
Okay, so Barry makes a motion and
Charles
we'll say
seconds.
Charles seconds.
All in favor?
Great, that's unanimous.
Bill didn't vote.
I wanted to.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, Rebecca.